The next few poses will be done in a standing position. Please move slowly and at your own pace. Keep the sturdy chair nearby for balance if needed. If you find that I'm talking faster than you are moving, please take your time and do fewer repetitions. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Place the feet about hips-width apart and grounded on the floor. Lift the toes and spread them nice and wide, and feel the navel pull gently in towards the spine. Push the toes into the floor and lean forward just a little bit. Feel the muscles that keep you steady. Lean back just a little bit and feel the toes come up. Feel the muscles that keep you steady in this position. Now push all four corners of the feet into the floor. Notice the steadiness of mountain pose. Notice how the steadiness of mountain pose feels. On the next inhale, roll the shoulders towards the ears, back and down so the shoulders are slightly open. Let the palms rest open to the side. Inhale and let the arms rise with the palms facing up. Exhale, bend at the elbows and allow the hands to come down the center line. Sink into the knees just a little. Repeat this again. Inhale, lift the arms with the palms facing up. Allow the hands and face to be relaxed. Continue with this movement at your own pace. Breathe as you move and try to coordinate the breath with the movement. On the next breath, lift the arms back over the head. Fingertips point in, palms face up. Imagine that you have candles in the palms of your hands and you do not want to spill them. Turn the fingertips so they face behind you. The palms remain up. Turn the fingertips to the side and then to the front like an offering, then out to the side walls. Breathe as you move, up to the top with the fingers facing in again, towards one another, and then forwards like an offering, then out to the side walls. Breathe as you move, up to the top with the fingers facing in again. Let's do this rotation one more time. After the second rotation, allow the hands to cascade down by the side and let them rest. Pause for one slow inhale and exhale. One more breath. Inhale, exhale. This next exercise is excellent for strengthening the spine and gently stretching the muscles of the back, front, and sides. Attempt to make the movement easeful and gentle. We will do these movements with various arm positions. The first arm position is the easiest. Please be sure to stay with the one that feels best for your body. We will demonstrate them all. Take the right hand to the waist and then the left. Roll the shoulders open. And on the exhale, lean to the right. Inhale to the center. On the exhale, lean to the left. Inhale back to the center. Roll the shoulders up back and down. And on the next inhale, gently pull the navel towards the spine. Pull the shoulder blades softly together. Get a small lift in the chin and feel a sense of lengthening through the front of the body. On the next exhale, begin to fold gently forward. It does not have to be all the way. Bend the knees slightly. Inhale and rise back to a standing position. Open the left arm to the side. Keep the elbow bent. Leave the right hand on the waist. Inhale. Exhale, lean slightly to the right, and then return back to the center. Bring the left hand down to the waist. Lift the right arm. Inhale. Exhale and lengthen to the left. Return to the center. Roll the shoulders open. Gently pull the navel in towards the spine. Pull the shoulder blades softly together. Get a small lift in the chin. Exhale and fold forward halfway. Inhale back to standing. Open the left arm again. Inhale, and on the exhale, lean to the right. Inhale and return back to the center. Place the left hand on the waist. Lift the right arm. Inhale. On the exhale, lean to the left. Inhale and return back to the center. Roll the shoulders open. Lengthen through the front of the body. Slightly pull the shoulder blades together. Get a small lift in the chin. Exhale and fold forward. Knees slightly bent. Inhale and return to standing in mountain pose. Pause for a moment. Inhale and exhale. For this warrior sequence, attempt to keep the movements gentle and relaxed. If you notice that you are struggling, move the feet closer together. Lower the arms or make the movements smaller. This pose is great for strengthening the legs, respiration, and opening the shoulders. Step the left foot forward just a few feet. The back foot points in at a 45-degree angle. The front knee bends and the hips face front if possible. Inhale, open the arms and bend at the elbows. On the exhale, bring the hands and elbows towards each other. Inhale, open the arms and push the heart softly forwards. Relax the shoulders. Exhale, bring the arms together. Inhale, open the arms to where you feel comfortable. Exhale, relax the arms inwards. Inhale, open and expand. Exhale, contract. Inhale, exhale. Bring the hands back down by the side. Return to mountain pose. One breath here. Inhale, exhale. Step the right foot forward. Take a moment, there's no rush. Ground the back foot into the floor. Bend the front knee. When you are ready, open the arms. Inhale. Exhale, bring the hands and elbows towards one another. Inhale, open the arms. This is a relaxed opening in the chest. Exhale, bring the hands and arms towards one another. Inhale, repeat again, creating spaciousness with a full inhale. Exhale, contract and relax the arms slightly. 2 more times at your own pace. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Let the hands rest down by the side. and return back to mountain pose. Pause here for a few breaths.
Welcome back to the 33rd online episode of Peacetime, hosted every Sunday morning by Peacepoint with myself, Phra Nicholas Thanissaro, live streaming from Dhamma International Meditation Center in Azusa, California. Last time you saw me, we looked at death and dying. With the Dhamma talk today, we will continue with our exploration of living Buddhism with the topic of the 31 realms of existence. And the presentation will take the form of a sort of metaphysical slideshow. So today's session will be a little bit more ambitious than usual, running to about an hour and 20 minutes, with half an hour on the Buddhist cosmology of the unfortunate realms, 20 minutes of meditation, then half an hour on the Buddhist cosmology of the fortunate realms and purgatories, and finishing up with questions sent in by viewers and news updates. As usual this session, I would encourage you to send in any questions you have by emailing me at peacetime.questions@gmail.com so that I can have a shot at answering those questions next time round. Last time you saw me, I finished up by saying that the evidence from near-death experiences tells us that something survives the body after death. And there is a variety of different ways a person can go when they leave this world. What is for sure that death is not the end of the story, and what you can see in this particular picture is the family gathering around a recently deceased relative in a hospital bed. The interesting thing that you can see is that although the physical body of the patient is lying dead on the bed, but a rather similar patient is floating and slightly transparent at the end of the bed, looking back at his own body. The question is, having left his physical body, where is he off to next? What is on the menu for afterlife destinations? Which are desirable and which are to be avoided? The talk today is to flesh out the structure of the 31 realms which I have described in theory in my last session, but this time to allow you to see some artist's impressions of most of those 31 realms, to have some idea about what you're dealing with, because someday, sooner or later, we will have to follow this patient to the grave. Today's talk is going to be rather an intellectual marathon, but you can keep track of where we've got to on the cosmological pagoda by referring to the tabs on each slide down here. Here we see the overview of the cosmos in the Buddhist understanding, and it consists of one large sphere representing conditioned existence, or samsara, which contains 3 spheres of different sizes, a large, a medium, and a small sphere. In this particular picture, the largest sphere at the top is the formless Brahma realms. Inside contains 4 realms of existence, which are shown as disk shapes here. The lowest one is the realm of infinite space, or akasa nancha yatana bhumi. The second disk up is the realm of infinite consciousness, or viññāna nancha yatana bhumi. The third disk up is the realm of nothingness, or akincha ñā yatana bhumi. The disk on the top of the larger sphere is the realm of neither perception nor non-perception, or neva sanya na sanya yatana bhumi. From here on, I'll mostly skip the Pali names, otherwise we won't get through all the realms today. The medium-sized sphere is the sphere containing the form Brahma realms. It contains 16 realms, namely starting from the bottom and going upwards: the realm of the great Brahma's attendants, second, the realm of the great Brahma's ministers, third, the realm of great Brahmas, fourth, the realm of Brahmas with limited luster, fifth, the realm of Brahmas with infinite luster, sixth, the realm of Brahmas with radiant luster, 7, the realm of Brahmas with a limited aura, 8, the realm of Brahmas with infinite aura, 9, the realm of Brahmas with steady aura, 10, the realm of Brahmas with abundant reward, 11, the realm of non-percipient beings, which is not a place you want to go to because it involves a state of being almost locked in with non-awareness that can last a very long time. And we come to the 5 top levels, which are known as the pure abodes or Sutawasa, because they are where non-returners may live out their final lifetime before entering upon nirvana. 5 levels are the realm of Brahmas who do not fall from prosperity, the realm of Brahmas who are serene, the realm of Brahmas who are beautiful, the realm of Brahmas who are clear-sighted, and topmost, the realm of the supreme Brahmas. The smaller sphere at the bottom is where we will spend most of our time today. This is a sphere of sense desire, and it contains the human realm, the hell realms, and the heaven realms. What I will do now is expand on the smaller sphere at the bottom of the screen to describe it in more detail. So here we see the detail of the sphere of sense desire. If you look at the central axis, you can see there is a cosmic mountain known as Mount Sumeru or Mount Sineru, surrounded by a sort of galaxy design. Below the mountain, you can see the hell realms, the satellite hells, and the purgatories in black, grey, and red. Above the mountain, in yellow, are the heaven realms. Here we can see a close-up of the sense desire sphere from the perspective of the earth, or the human realm. Bear in mind that what you see here is not what you would see if you were looking out of a telescope into the cosmos, because whatever you see through a physical telescope is just more of the human realm. So when we were talking about astronomical stars and galaxies, we are still talking about the human realm. What we're talking about with cosmology is the human realm as it relates to other dimensions of existence, which one would be able to see only with the inner eye of the Dharma. So don't get the cosmological and the astronomical galaxies mixed up. You can see that in fact there are a total of 8 levels of hell realms below the cosmic mountain and 6 heaven realms above. On the cosmic mountain, the green part is the first level of heaven, and the peak of the mountain is the second level of heaven. The 4 remaining heavens are the distinct yellow discs above the cosmic mountain. And from this perspective, you can tell that the human realm is offset from the central axis of the universe, because our human realm is only one of 4 possible planets. Generally speaking, humans have a physical body and mind. Because of their physical body, many are able to do good deeds, which makes them the envy of the angelic realms. But unfortunately, because of the limitations of the physical body, human lifespan can be relatively short if you compare it to the realms where beings are born by spontaneous arising. Human beings are characterized by having male or female anatomy, and their free will gives them the potential for enlightenment. To clarify what I meant when I said the human realm is offset and fourfold, here we can see an isometric view of the cosmic mountain by which you can see all 4 of the alternative Earths or human continents. Our Earth is the green one, At the crossroads between the 4 human continents is the cosmic mountain, which we are already familiar with from previous slides. The only way to get between these different human continents is by the use of the wheel of the Dharma, which is something which is only possible for an evolved being known as a universal monarch. The earth we live on, according to Buddhist scripture, is known as the Jambu Tawipa, or Rose Apple continent. Our continent is located to the south of the cosmic mountain. Depending on how you translate the scriptures, our continent is said to be egg-shaped, or the inhabitants have faces that are egg-shaped. Our sort of humans currently have a physical height of 5 to 6 feet, and our lifespan can vary between 10 and about 10 to the power of 140 years. Next comes the western continent, or Aparagyogoyana Tawib, shown here on the left, which is a continent where people have rounded or moon-shaped faces. The human inhabitants of this continent do not live in houses but sleep on the ground. Their main transportation is the bullock cart. They are about 24 feet in height and live for 500 years. The northern continent is Uttara Guru Tawipa, here shown in the center, and it's a continent where people have squarish or lantern-jawed faces. The inhabitants of Uttara Guru Tawip have cities built in the air. They are said to be extraordinarily wealthy, not needing to work for a living, as their food grows by itself, and they have no private property. They are about 48 feet in height and live for 1,000 years. And lastly, we have the eastern continent called the Pupa Videha Tawip, here shown on the right, which has people with pointy faces. The people here are about 12 feet in height and they live for 700 years. Their main work is mercantile trade. The Buddha chooses to arise only in our Rose Apple continent because on the other continents there is a uniformity in the level of human virtue, because all the people automatically keep the 5 precepts. Only on our human continent, despite the lows and highs in human virtue, amongst our number are those who have great courage and determination in cultivating good deeds in the face of adversity. So we move on down to the realm next to that of the humans, and it is the only other realm apart from the humans that can be seen with the naked eye. The realm I'm talking about is that of the animals, or Tirachana Yoni. Animals can be born via many modes of birth, but sexual reproduction is mostly the norm. As with humans, animals have a physical body, but their opportunities to do good deeds are much fewer than for humans. Of course, a dog that is disciplined, such as a seeing eye dog or a rescue dog, would have more opportunity to do good deeds than a dog that is feral. But because animal life in general is short, then animal rebirth is considered a realm of suffering or an unfortunate realm. You should make sure that you don't get reborn in the animal realm, attractive as it may seem, to be reborn as someone's poodle in a pampered existence. Immediately outside the human and animal realms, the next closest realm is the one containing people immediately after they pass away, but who become a disembodied spirit. You will have some familiarity with this concept from Jennifer Love Hewitt's character in the 1990s TV show Ghost Whisperer. Most spirits remain in a disembodied state for a maximum of 7 days, but some can be in this state for longer because of exceptional circumstances. Sometimes it's due to the fact that the person doesn't yet realize that they are dead. In other cases, they might have been miserly and still cling onto the possessions they had in the human realm. In any case, they linger close by the human realm, but generally they cannot be seen or heard by those they try to contact, except for people who have a sixth sense. Most commonly, it's by a sense of smell that regular people are able to detect the presence of a disembodied spirit. It's sometimes said that the presence of a spirit, like the one on the slide, which is unhappy, will be indicated to those nearby by the smell of a rotting corpse without any apparent source for the smell, whereas the presence of a spirit which is happy will be indicated by a scent like incense, again with no apparent source. At a Buddhist funeral, it is the idea that beings in a state of disembodiment will be reminded that they are already dead, allowing them to come to terms with their new existence and cross over to the other side, without the need for a ghost whisperer. By witnessing their own funerals, then they will be able to be reminded of the good deeds which they've done during their life and be able to depart for a better place. These pictures are taken from the explanations of our main teaching monk in Thailand, which he gave back in 2004 to reassure the bereaved of many who lost their lives in the Indian Ocean tsunami disaster. The slide shows some good people mourning a loved one of theirs who has recently passed away. Although they cannot see him, but he is there and rejoicing in the merit that they have performed in his name to allow him to go to a better place. This slide shows some less fortunate spirits who were so intent on running away from the tsunami that they didn't even have the chance to realize that they are already dead, and they have left their physical body far behind. For those beings who can realize they are dead, then they can manage to think of something good that they have done, or the ones who receive merit that is dedicated to them, then they will immediately see a tunnel of light ahead of them and be able to leave the human realm dressed in better attire, since the clothes they wear are no longer physical but dependent on their accumulated merit. They are able to ascend the tunnel of white light to a heavenly existence. This would normally be what would be expected to happen in the case of a good death, where a person can recollect their good deeds before their 7 days is up. So let's go back briefly to the structure of the cosmic mountain again, to distinguish between ghosts and hungry ghosts. Mount Sumeru, as we know, is the central axis to the cosmos. The summit of this mountain is the second level of heaven, and the shoulder of the mountain is the first level of heaven. The green-colored terraces, which you can see, are the 7 concentric mountain ranges, each with lakes filling the valleys in between them. The mountain ranges get progressively taller as you work your way inwards. Each mountain range beneath Mount Sumeru is identified by its own name, which I don't have time to go into today. Beneath Mount Sumeru are 3 mountains called the Tikutta, which you can see here in the rust color. These are the realms of the Titans or Asura, as well as the hungry ghosts and monsters or Asuragaya. Don't get Asura and Asuragaya mixed up, because the first are Titans or disgraced angels, whereas the latter are monsters. This is the topology of the summits of the 3 mountains. At the foot of the 3 mountains are the realm of the hungry ghosts or Peta and the monsters or Asuragaya, whereas the plateau of the valley between the mountains is the realm of the Titans or Asuras. The whole area is bounded by an impenetrable wall, not to keep others out, but to keep the suffering beings inside. The backstory for the Titans is that when they were governed by a chieftain called Wepatiti, they became drunk on celestial alcohol and were cast out from the 2nd level of heaven in the Deva-Sura war, ending up here as a punishment. Because the Titans are still angels, then they have heavenly mansions located in this huge plateau between the 3 mountains. In appearance, Titans retain angelic features, but they are less attractive even than angels of the 1st level of heaven. Moving on down to the foot of the three mountains, it is seething with denizens in suffering and engulfed by flame. This is the domain of the hungry ghosts and monsters. In reality, it is even more crowded than shown, but here hungry ghosts are singled out for clarity. Again, you can see the non-uniformity of the hungry ghosts and the variety of ways in which they undergo their suffering. Here is a hungry ghost, or peta, for which the body is classically very tall and thin. Usually they have a mouth that is as small as a pinhole, meaning they cannot eat sufficient food and therefore are constantly hungry and cry out in torment. In the inset, you can see the relative size of a human being compared with a hungry ghost. And remember, this is just the size of a hungry ghost's foot. So you can imagine how tall a hungry ghost must be, equivalent to a multi-story building. Usually the karma that caused them to be reborn here was that they deprived monks of food without going as far as stealing. In this slide, we have hungry ghosts for which, as a result of their karma, they are only motivated to eat vomit. When they throw up, they have to eat it all over again ad infinitum. This is yet another sort of hungry ghost, again being eaten by worms, even while it's still alive, as it walks around, but this time carrying on its back the heavy burden of earth or soil that is on fire. The karma this hungry ghost did to earn this fate was that it unlawfully repossessed land owned by a temple. This is one of these so-called monsters, which is a hybrid between an animal and a human being. Mostly they have the karma in their past of greed, causing them to cheat others out of wealth or engaging in false livelihood, while falling short of outright stealing. Now let us continue on our journey down through the unfortunate realms to the various major and satellite hell realms. The unfortunate realms are beneath the cosmic mountain. We see 456 hell realms divided into major hells in the black, satellite hells or Usita Niraya in the grey, and purgatories or Yamaloka in the red, color-coded according to the intensity of the fiery flames in each category of realms. The difference between the major hells and the satellite hells is that for the major hells, the suffering is continuous, whereas in the satellite hells, there is fluctuation between periods of suffering and periods of relative rest. The hells are arranged on 8 levels, with 1 to 5 concerning the karmic retribution of habitually breaking the 5 precepts. The lifespan for each hell is measured in billions of years, with a B, and increases exponentially for each layer down you go. Looking at the isometric, there is a set of 4 satellite hells at the side of each major hell, and beyond that, in each direction, 2 sets of 5 purgatories to each side. Thus, there will be a total of 400 purgatories for each level of hell, serving as the transit stations between the realms. We will now go in detail down through each of these layers of major hells. The hell realms, unlike purgatories, are not staffed by real beings, but imaginary beings that are conjured up by the powers of the victim's negative karma. These apparitions have the sole duty to inflict suffering on the victim until the victim's karma is expiated. The topmost level of hell, Sanjiva Hell, has a lifespan of 1,620 billion human years. It is the place where beings undergo retribution for having killed or tortured living beings. The mode of death matches the way they killed their victim. This hell also has suicide victims who have done away with themselves. So here they find that far from suicide being an escape from suffering in the human realm, they end up being out of the frying pan and into a much worse fire. This is the second level of hell, Gala Sutta hell, which takes its name from the black lines drawn on the bodies of the victims as the hell guards mark the cut lines for their fiery swords and sharp axes, while the person is tied down to a hot metal plate. This level of hell is where beings are punished for having stolen things or broken the second precept in their human lifetime. The lifespan here is equal to 12,960 billion human years. This is the third level of hell, called Samkata hell, which has a lifespan of 103,680 billion human years. This is where the human beings are suffering the retribution for having been unfaithful to their lawfully wedded during their human lifetime. Once they get to this realm, they find many enthusiastic partners awaiting them, where they have female or male hell guards, depending on their previous preferences, and those guards will commit the sexual act with the victim until it kills them. So they get to die as they chose to live, repeatedly over and over again. This is the Roruwa hell, or the fourth level of hell, which has a lifespan of 829,400 billion human years. It's where people get the retribution from having habitually told lies, slandered, insulted others, or chattered idly during their human existence. It is a hell realm full of dentists who assault the mouths of their victims in a dental clinic, which is literally from hell, without any anesthetics. The bleeding from the dental operation eventually leads to the death of the beings over and over again. Moving on down to the fifth level of hell, we see an outside view of its spherical shape. From the inside, the sky would look like a parabola, and inside, all the beings undergo retribution of having drunk alcohol or taken intoxicants during their time in the human realm. Inside, there would also be volcanoes of black acid liquid flowing like lava. Behind the black major hell sphere are the associated satellite hells in grey and the associated purgatories in the red. The fifth level of hell is called Maharoruwa hell and has a lifespan of 6,635,520 billion human years. For the incarcerated, whatever their favorite form of alcohol was while they were in the human realm, whether it was bottles of wine or kegs of beer, that will become the instrument of punishment in the hell realm. But instead of alcohol, it will be that black acidic liquid from the volcanoes, which dissolves the whole of that person's body from the inside out, over and over again, until that being's retribution is expiated. Moving on down to the sixth level of hell, we come to the Tapana hell, which has a lifespan of 53,084,160 billion human years. It is beyond the scope of the 5 precepts, instead focusing on the retribution of gambling or betting on various lucky numbers. In this particular hell realm, the victim has the numbers they loved so much during their human lifetime tattooed on their body, again without any anesthetic, until they bleed to death, and they're reborn, and the process continues over and over again until the karma is expiated. Next comes the 7th level of hell, which is the Mahatapana hell. Here, there is a lifespan of 424,673,280 billion years, which adds up to half of an Antarakalpa, which is the time taken from the top of the slope of the decline in the Aganya Sutta to the bottom. This realm deals with the retribution of what is euphemistically referred to as roaming the streets at unseemly hours, or having engaged in any of the other roads to ruin. Finally, we come to the 8th level of hell, known as Avechi, which you should note is not the Swedish electronic music DJ, who may now realize how unfortunate his name is. This is the lowest level of hell, which has a lifespan of 33,973,862,400 billion human years, and is the destination for beings who have committed some sort of heavy karma during their human lifetime. It is equivalent to solitary confinement in the dark. It is incredibly lonely, and the only punctuation in the punishment is a glimmer of light once each time a new Buddha arises in the world. Otherwise, no light ever reaches here. So now that we have the worst of the unfortunate realms of existence out of the way, we'll take a break halfway for some meditation, which today is entitled The Full Moon Day of May, and to which I've added the most recent video footage of the Vesak Day celebration at Wat Pah Dhammakaya in Thailand last May 26th. So at this time, we settle ourselves for 20 minutes of meditation. If you would like to find a comfortable sitting position for yourself now as you listen to my guidance. So if you'd like to settle yourself in a comfortable position for your meditation practice today, close your eyes very gently, breathing deeply to yourself, letting go of any tensions in your body, all the way from the top of your head, right the way down to the tips of your toes. Allow the muscles of your face to become soft, taking care that even the way you close your eyes is as gentle as possible. Bear in mind that the muscles in your eyes are the most sensitive in your body. And if you can close your eyes gently, then the whole of your body will relax in the same way. So allow that wave of relaxation to pass down from your face, through your neck and shoulders, both arms, to the tips of your fingers, and through the whole of your torso, chest, trunk, and abdomen, both legs, all the way down to your feet and your toes, so that you feel awake, alert, but also relaxed, energized by this participation in the special virtual full moon meditation, which we have come together to share today. Especially the joy and happiness of seeing old friends from previous full moon meditations, even if we are seeing them online today, but just to see one another after a whole month or 2 months, with the gladness to see our friends still alive, safe, and inspired to practice. And it brings us a sense of gladness, familiarity, and a sense of belonging on the inside. And at this point, we withdraw our awareness within the space of our body to a place inside ourselves that feels free of any worries and concerns. Although there may be so much going on around us, but today we set aside a special day for ourselves, a full moon day, which in Buddhist tradition is special because it doubles up as the day of enlightenment of the Buddha. And in the Theravada tradition, it is also considered to be the Buddha's birthday and the day of his final passing away into parinirvana. It's a full moon day this month, marked exceptionally as a super flower blood moon. which has been photographed all around the world for its reddish-orange tinge, owing to a lunar eclipse and the reflection of the sunrises and sunsets in the Earth's atmosphere projected onto the surface of the eclipsed moon, and spectacularly visible all across the Pacific. It is called a flower moon in reference to all the flowers of spring blooming at this time. And because it's the full moon of May, although historically speaking it was 2,519 years ago, today is also the anniversary of the Buddha achieving enlightenment. So the feeling around us is particularly energized today with that sense of possibility of enlightenment for each one of us. And especially with a positive state of mind, all participating today, even though we might be separated by distance, but we are virtually together because we have not let social distancing or the pandemic get in the way of joining together to cultivate good deeds or continuing to give support to our local temples and meditation centers. In fact, our time of joining the meditation virtually has only widened our community to extend across borders from the local to the global, and allow our meditation centers to cooperate and cross-pollinate, to share the best each center has to offer. So we conjure up a sense of happiness, joy, and freedom in our mind, while putting aside any unwanted thoughts. We nurture the sense of happiness and joy within ourselves, which we can grow and expand within ourselves until there's no space left in our mind for any other sort of thought. And at this point, for those of you who already have your favorite method of meditation, you can practice that meditation now. But for those of you who are new to meditation, or those who favor the Dhammakaya approach, I would invite you to imagine that inside your body is just an empty space, or a hollow cavity, without any organs or tissues, muscles or bones. Within the space of your body, as an anchor for the mind, you might like to picture a bright object, such as the full moon shining, the sun shining, or maybe a bright, shining star. Especially on this day of the Buddha's enlightenment, you might like to think of a picture of the Buddha in meditation. If you can't see that object, even the feeling will work just as well. You may feel as if you have one of those objects floating within the space of your body. And you allow the object to float gently down within the space of your body, following the breath down to the deepest point of the breath at the diaphragm, the seventh base of the mind as we know it in our Dhammakaya tradition. But anywhere in that general area which feels comfortable for you will work well. We maintain our mind gently with that inner object as continuously as we can, for as long as we can, not letting our mind wander off anywhere else, if we can help it. If the mind should wander, as inevitably happens, we just bring it back again to the center each and every time. If the inner object disappears, we can think of a new one. If thoughts interrupt our meditation, we do our best to ignore them rather than elaborate on them. If we find the mind is plagued by thoughts, if we find our brain is like the proverbial hamster wheel, then we might find it useful to make use of a traditional mantra such as hearing the words Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, Samma Arahang, coming up from the center of our body over and over again, until the mind starts to gain independence from those thoughts, until the spaces between the thoughts start to last longer than the thoughts themselves. The full moon of May is known in Buddhism as Vesak Day or Visakha Puja Day. It is a festival of world significance, and just a few hours ago, Antonio Gutierrez, Secretary General of the United Nations, issued a message to mark the occasion, praising Buddhism for its contributions it's made to human spirituality and culture for more than 2.5 millennia. He recognized that Buddhists and non-Buddhists alike continue to find inspiration, and the Buddha's message of honesty, compassion, and respect for all living beings, as we face the lasting impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, is clearer than ever that humility and deep empathy are essential for all of our well-being and that of our planet. So as we meditate today, we make the resolve to ourselves to continue the work together, to build lives of peace and dignity for all on a healthy planet. And on the full moon day of May, we think a lot about the unity of the meditation community as we gather together from our temples and meditation centers from various different traditions, of necessity separated by social distancing, but today unified in our intent to join together for full moon meditation. There are many practices for our well-being we can do together, even without being physically in the same location. There are many benefits that arise from coming together for full moon days such as this. It encourages the unity because there are elements to the practice that all meditations share in common. In a traditional Buddhist scripture called the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the shared part of the practice is known as the Ekalayana, which means the single and the beautiful path that can lead all practitioners to the end of mental impurities. Following this path to completion is what the Buddha already did as a trailblazer 2,519 years ago. And today is a day when we think of the possibility for us to be able to do the same and to be close to the Buddha, which is shorthand for saying the inner Buddha, or the Buddha's body of enlightenment on this day, especially through our practice. If we want to be close to the inner Buddha, if we want to see the inner Buddha for ourselves, or to gain the vision known as the supreme sight of the inner Buddha, or Dasanuttariya, it will give all of us an important first-hand part in keeping alive the enlightenment experience through this full moon meditation. We should keep in mind the words of the Buddha recorded for us in the Sanghati Sutta, where he said that even if a practitioner were to cling onto the hem of my robe and follow close behind me step by step, if that practitioner still remains covetous, filled with passions, malevolent-minded, corrupt in thought, unmindful, uncomprehending, and unconcentrated, with a wandering mind and uncontrolled faculties, that practitioner would still be far from me. That is to say that anyone not working to train their mind cannot really be close to the inner Buddha, even though they might be sitting right next to the Buddha, because someone with an uncontrolled mind will not manage to see the Dharma, which is shorthand for saying that they will be unable to see the inner sphere of purity. If they do not see the inner sphere of purity, then they will never see the inner Buddha. But for any practitioner, even if they live 1,000 miles away, even if they've only got a virtual connection to the full moon meditation ceremony, even if they are in another country far away from where the Buddha is living, but they are not covetous, not full of passion, not malevolent-minded, uncorrupt in thoughts, if they have mindfulness established, clearly comprehending, concentrated and of unified mind, then that person will be close to the inner Buddha. That practitioner will be able to see the inner Buddha because first of all they will manage to see the inner sphere of purity, enabling them to see the inner Buddha according to the proper sequence. And in this respect, I would like to say that any form of meditation is something which you can do at home. Even if you are unable to go to the temple in person, even if they don't let you out of your house because you're on lockdown, but if you practice meditation, you are close to the inner Buddha. In my own tradition, we understand the word Ekalyanamakha to mean the seventh base of the mind, a point in the body which leads deeper towards nirvana. But any sort of meditation that internalizes the mind within the body can be considered proper meditation that will converge with the Ekalyanamakha and will ultimately lead to the inner eye of wisdom. As many of you are familiar with the chanting of the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, you will recall that when we develop vision, or jakku, it will come together with a special form of knowledge, or jnana. It also comes together with a special wisdom, or panya, and leads to special insight, or vicca, a process which the Buddha exemplified for us 2,519 years ago. On the occasion of the full moon meditation, in order to share in the unity of practice known as Ekalyanamakha, and to have the best chance to gain the supreme sight of the inner Buddha, I would like to encourage everyone to practice the Dharma without end, continue to be inspired to follow in the footsteps of the enlightened ones. Whatever challenges life and health concerns may throw at you. So now, for a few moments, we continue to focus the mind gently at the center of the body until we come to the time for the candle lighting ceremony. So now that we have lit our candles, let us return our focus to the center once again. Let us gently close our eyes, bringing the candlelight inside, feeling the way the candle illuminates our center, its light, its warmth, now radiating outwards from within, just like our peace energy arising from the standstill of the mind. And we draw into the light, even though we may be physically separate. Here inside our center, we connect with ourselves and the collective consciousness. May all sentient beings be as one. So from there, let us illuminate our inner candlelight, shining so bright. Let it radiate all around. Let it grow, expand, covering ourselves, our entire home and neighborhood. That light is attached with our positive intention our loving kindness, our wish to see everyone sharing that state of peace and happiness. We let it grow further, expanding until it covers the whole city, reaching out to all sentient beings, all people no matter where they are. May all beings be touched by inner peace, love, and compassion. Let our inner peace wipe away all the negativity, all negative elements that affect the world. When our mind touches the center of the light, it grows further across our space, throughout the world, above and beyond, borders and boundaries. Let us be like a full moon, selflessly sharing its light, its warmth, its compassion, to everyone, every being, every creature sharing this planet with us. The tide of peace energy and our inner light change the world toward a state of happiness. May all sadness, sorrow, and violence be swept away, while allowing the beauty of compassion to blossom in every person's mind. Let us shine our inner light all around, throughout the universe. Here, where there is only a little candlelight, even though it is tiny, but collectively the power is unfathomable. It is more than enough to share, to reach out to everybody, everyone, everywhere. So we let it expand further to wherever there is darkness, because light can always overpower and transform that darkness into a state of happiness once again. So let us shine forth this brightness from the center inside to the outside world for a few more moments in silence. Sappa Buddhanupavena, Sappa Dhammanupavena, Sappa Sankhanupavena Sattha Soti Bhavantu Te. So if you'd like to come to the end of your meditation for today, you can gradually open your eyes again. If you feel at all uncomfortable, then slowly try changing to a more comfortable position and gently finish your practice. So now we continue our journey through the 31 realms of existence, this time from the human realm upwards into the fortunate realms. A little earlier we had the disembodied spirits, which strictly speaking you could call earth sprites or Pumateva. These were the lowest extent of the first level of heaven. Going upwards now in the first level of heaven, we come to what's known as tree sprites or dryads, in Pali known as Rukkateva. And as you can see, they have slightly more merit than the earth sprites. They're clothed in white, they live in treetops, and they have their own rather humble heavenly mansion in the treetops, which I will say that these are not tree houses as we know them because they are not visible to the human eye. The tree sprites are dependent on trees in which they live. and therefore in Buddhism there's a prohibition against monks cutting down trees for the main reason that it disturbs this sort of beings. One step further upwards is the air sprites or Akasa Deva, who live about 10 miles or 1 yojana above the surface of the earth. And they have much larger heavenly mansions. In the slide you can see that an air sprite has a golden scarf, which indicates that their merit is more than for the tree sprites. These beings have the responsibility for controlling the climate and the weather systems. Now we come to the first level of heaven proper, called Jatu Maharajika. In just the same way, time is perceived to stretch out exponentially the deeper you go into the hell realms. It also stretches in an equivalent way the higher up you go in the heaven realms. In this first level of heaven, 1 day and 1 night is equal to 50 years in the human realm, and the inhabitants have a total lifespan equivalent to 9 million, that's with an M, human years. Here there are a variety of different beings, mostly who have a mixture of good and bad karma, but the balance is more good than bad. The realm is divided between 4 great kings, Yakas, Kumpandas, Kantapas, and Nagas, and I'll come back to these in a moment. It also has a supernatural forest known as the Himawanta, with many curious sorts of creatures living there. Here we see the first 2 sorts of beings in this realm. On the left is a so-called purgatory guard or Kumpanta. This particular one has quite a high status, as can be seen by the golden chain he is wearing. These beings have to take it in turns to mete out punishments in the purgatory realms. So from time to time, when they are on leave, they get to return to their home realm in the first level of heaven. The being on the right is what's known as a sorcerer or Vidyatana, which looks like a hermit. These are guardians of both spiritual and worldly knowledge, and like social influencers, are mostly concerned with competing to get as many followers and disciples for themselves as possible. Coming to the next 2 types of beings from the first level of heaven, on the left is a celestial musician or Kantapa. These beings have the bad karma of sensual obsession with dance and music during their time in the human realm. The being on the right is what's known as a giant or Yakha. You can often see these ones as statues guarding the gates of Thai temples. The bad karma which giants have mixed with their good karma is that they were very angry by nature in their human lifetime. The next 2 sorts of beings we are looking at from the first level of heaven. On the left we have a Naga, here in the form of a serpent. These generally arise as a result of good karma mixed up with the bad habit of sense desire. The Nagas are popularly known for their fireballs, seen spouting up once a year in homage to the Buddha from under the Mekong River on the border between Thailand and Laos. The being on the right is the bird-like Garuda, arising as a result of good karma mixed up with the habit of delusion. The Nagas and Garudas are each other's sworn enemies. Here's another slide of a Naga, but this time in human form. There is an account in the Buddhist scriptures of a Naga shape-shifting into human form in order to get the chance to ordain as a monk. However, when that monk fell asleep, it would revert to its long serpentine form and created a big stir in the monastic accommodation. So from that time onwards, non-humans were no longer allowed to ordain, and that is why, even to this day, all postulate monks are verbally required to confirm that they are human, as a part of the examination before the monastic community during the ordination process. So how do dying human beings reach the heaven realm? By way of explanation, here we see a heavenly vehicle which arises to bring beings of great merit to their afterlife destination in some semblance of style. For those who have less merit, it's just like falling asleep and waking up again in the recipient heaven realm, with no heavenly vehicle involved. The next slide is an artist's impression of the end-of-life experience of a particularly strong supporter of our temple in Thailand, who was called Auntie To. The first frame shows her breathing her last, with the monk coming to see her to give her some final merits. When she was alive, she encouraged multiple busloads of supporters to come to the temple, so she took a lot of merit to her grave. The second frame shows that the last thing she sees as her life flashes before her, which is a heavenly host gathering around her bed. She disconnects from her physical body and immediately has an angelic body rather than a subtle human body, which floats up from her bed. In the third frame, she floats into a standing position, and she sees the heavenly vehicle that has come to take her to the fourth level of heaven. In the fourth frame, before she vacates her human life, she turns to look at her human body one last time in gratitude for how it has served her well during her human lifetime. And then she turns back toward the heavenly chariot and takes her place on the seat in the fifth frame. In the sixth frame, she puts her hands in a gesture of prayer, and in the seventh frame, she goes to the Mahadhammakaya Chaitya in Pathum Thani, Thailand, where she makes 3 clockwise circuits of the pagoda to secure a final store of merit for herself. In the last 2 frames, she goes directly upwards in a beam of light straight towards the fourth level of heaven. But rather than jumping to the fourth level of heaven, let's go in order to describe, first of all, the second level of heaven, which is known as the heaven of the 33, or Tawadingsa. The king that guards over this realm is called Indra or Sakha, and he is whichever angel has the most merit in that second level of heaven at the time, that merit giving him the power to reign over the whole of the realm. In this realm, there are heavenly mansions of which you can see some examples. Each mansion is surrounded by gardens and fountains, depending on the merit of the inhabitant of each mansion. Each mansion differs in details according to the way that the person collected merits when they were alive in the human realm. 1 day and 1 night in the second level of heaven is equal to 100 years in the human realm, and a lifespan equivalent to 36 million human years. Here we see a regular angel from the second level of heaven. You see that there are both male and female versions of the angels, and each angel may have a retinue of heavenly nymphs to serve them, generally not real ones, but again apparitions, as a result of that angel's good karma. You will remember the second level of heaven is located on the peak of the cosmic mountain, above the rainbow-colored part, which is the first level of heaven, so it is still physically connected to the main axis of the universe. You notice the way angels dress here is rather colorful. It's not as subtle as it will be in the higher levels of heaven. But the basic crisscross pattern over the breastplate with the jewels of various sorts, usually in different colors, is a mark of angelic existence throughout these realms. Here we are still in the second level of heaven, and you can see that the lifestyle of angels here is mostly about being entertained and using up the good karma from their human life without really thinking to cultivate any new merits. They're just waiting for their merit to run out, and in the meantime, they're being entertained by their retinue, who play music and dance for them. The only constructive activity for angels on this level is to meet at a place called the Sudama Hall to listen to Buddhist teachings on the full moon days. This diagram shows the comparative size of the buildings in the different levels of heaven. Don't go thinking that these are the heavenly mansions. In fact, they are more like the gazebos in the gardens of the mansions. At the bottom of the diagram are the buildings in the first level of heaven, where they are small and non-uniform, in keeping with the uneven merit of the beings there. In this second level of heaven, the larger and more beautiful the buildings become, the greater the distances spacing one from the next, again in accordance with the greater merit and the greater physical size of the beings reborn in that second level of heaven. The disc-shaped geography of the second level of heaven is arranged in concentric circles with beings with the most merit at the very center, which is where Indra, or the governor of the heaven realm, resides. Meanwhile, those who have cultivated good deeds in the context of non-Buddhist religions will generally end up at the very edge of the second level of heaven, since they don't tend to understand the details of particularly Buddhist things like respect for the monastic community. Now we come to the third level of heaven, or Yama, which is the level of heaven which is the destination for monks who practice well during their lifetime, but who didn't do a great deal of meditation. Once they reach this realm, they are no longer monks, they are just lay angels. 1 day and 1 night in this level of heaven is equivalent to 200 years in the human realm, and the lifespan is the equivalent of 144 million human years. Moving on up, we come to the fourth level of heaven, otherwise known as Tusita. This is the heaven where the bodhisattvas bide their time while waiting to arise in their final lifetime as a Buddha in the human realm. 1 day and 1 night in this fourth level of heaven is equivalent to 400 years in the human realm, and the expected lifespan is 576 million human years. You can see that the nature of the angels is rather more refined than in the levels below. The interesting thing exclusively about this particular level of heaven is that there are monks who get to stay as monks, even though they are in that heaven realm. Here we see a picture of the Buddha-to-be in the Tusita heaven, waiting for the 5 conditions for the arising of a Buddha to be fulfilled, or the Pancha Mahavilokana. In the meantime, he meditates. He'll only arise in the human realm when he makes the wish to do so, because a second exclusive characteristic of the fourth level of heaven is that angels can return to the human realm as a result of a wish, rather than just waiting for their subtle merit to run out. It is also a place where, because of the 2 exclusive characteristics I've mentioned, the Dhammakaya tradition teaches us to make a wish every day to be reborn in the Tusita, fourth level of heaven, between human lifetimes, so that we can have some control over the suitability of the time we choose to reappear in the human realm. Here we come to the 5th level of heaven, or Nimanaradi, where 1 day and 1 night are equivalent to 800 years in the human realm, and the lifespan is equivalent to 2,304 million human years. You can see that the attire of the angels is of a subtlety that is still higher than before. From here we come to the 6th and the top level of heaven, known as Paranimitawa Sawati, where 1 day and 1 night is equivalent to 1,600 years in the human realm. The lifespan in this realm is equivalent of 9,216 million human years. Reason why it's inadvisable to be reborn in the 5th or 6th levels of heaven when the 4th level is available is that although they have more longevity, you have no control when departing the realm. Next we come to the Brahma levels, and I will speak here of both the form and formless Brahma levels in passing. There are 16 levels of form Brahma realms and 4 levels of formless Brahma realms. For each higher level, the refinement is greater than the last. There's no longer any distinction between male and female. Some people believe that Brahmas have got 4 faces to reflect their 4 divine abidings, but in reality this is not true. They have 1 face like everybody else. Again, you don't want to be reborn in the four formless Brahma realms for the same reason that you get in the 5th and 6th levels of heaven of excessive longevity and lack of control on departure. So now we come to the intermediary cases, which means what happens to borderline cases of people with a mixture of good and bad deeds who have exceeded their 7-day deadline for remembering something good which they have done. The salient realms in these cases are the purgatories, which, if you remember, are appendages on the various levels of the major hells. For each purgatory, it will consist of a courthouse, a ring road giving access to different doors of rebirth, and the area in the center where suffering is inflicted in-house, all enclosed in a sphere. So how do beings get here? With purgatory, we are looking at a trajectory for those who are not clear in their afterlife destination and required to have some sort of judgment made in the purgatory as to their deserved afterlife destination. For these beings who have exhausted their 7-day grace period and still fail to think of anything good that they've done, then the purgatory guards, who are in fact kumpanta, from the 1st level of heaven, wearing the red cloths around their waists, will come to escort the recently deceased human through into the purgatory forcefully if necessary. All the beings who have died on the same day will be led away through a sort of wormhole into the intermediary realm of purgatory. Since so many people die on any given day, there's a long line for beings waiting for their case to come up in the purgatory court. Sometimes the wait is for as long as 50 days, which is why Buddhist relatives in the human realm traditionally choose to dedicate merit for them after 50 days in a way that may allow them to go direct to heaven before they reach their court date. You may ask why they don't just run away, but in fact there is a wall all around this realm, and even if they were to climb the wall, it's not physically connected anymore to the human realm anyway. And this is the outer door of the courtyard. This is the front of the courthouse. Here you see the beings going up the steps into the court building for the purgatory. Both sides of the walkway would be a display of many weapons and scary equipment, so that the beings will feel afraid of what they are about to confront and to treat their conscience seriously. Here you can see the defendants as they are entering the courthouse. After about 100 days from the time of death in the line, they will come up for trial. The representative or Yamaraja, who will review their good and bad karma rather than strictly judging them, is there to hear both sides of the story. Karmic evidence is reviewed on equipment like screens for everyone to see. And on the basis of the karma, the adjudicating Yamaraja will make a decision about where that being deserves to be sent, which may be a better place, but not very much better, somewhere like the 1st level of heaven, or they might get a second chance being sent straight back to the human realm again. Or they may be sent to an even worse place, like one of the major hell realms, for further punishment. The Yamaraja will ask the defendant, when you witnessed old age, sickness, and death in the human realm, didn't you once think of the urgency of doing good deeds when you were alive? They ask if the defendant ever ordained as a monk, or if someone in their family had ever been a monk, both of which would help their case. For those who don't get immediate transit and whose karma is not bad enough to warrant the major hells or the satellite hells, then they may undergo their punishment in-house, in the purgatory itself, which, although it may look a little scary here, with beings basically just being thrown over the edge into cauldrons of molten metal, in fact the fires here are relatively cool compared with those in the major hell realms, where the flames are black because they are much hotter than a normal fire. There is an incredible number of beings in the purgatory. As you can see, the place is seething with victims. and this is why it's said to be very rare and fortunate to have the chance to be born in the human realm or in the heaven realms, where the number of people is relatively small by comparison. Some of the victims are beheaded before being thrown into the cauldron, but the moment they die, they come back to life again, just to die all over again. The cycle of being killed and then reviving happens again and again until the karma is expiated after a very long time. This slide shows a cross-section through the molten metal hot tub, which shows how the beings sink down to the bottom of the cauldron and then bubble back up to the surface again, which in general takes 30,000 hell years. And last but not least, to go out on a high note, we have an artist's impression of nirvana, which is outside the cycle of existence completely, and which awaits all of us as an eternal reward for cultivating enough good deeds to break free of the cycle of rebirth completely. In the Dhammakaya tradition, we believe it's filled with all the bodies of enlightenment of the Arahants, Pacceka Buddhas, and fully enlightened Buddhas, more countless than all the grains of sand in all the 4 great oceans. In conclusion of this session, we have examined the Buddhist version of where people go when they die. In a couple of sessions' time, we will look at the opposite side of the transition between human life and death by asking where people come from before they are born. Before today, let me finish up with a quick mention about temple support and a news update about the availability of meditation teaching in English. Those of you who like to visit the temple in Azusa to bring offerings, please be informed that we are still using the offering site in the parking lot next to the main temple building between 10 and 11 a.m. each day. If you have trouble with the passcode or at the gate or wish to visit at a different time, please call Jenny on 562-716-2961. There will be at least one monk on standby in PPE to receive your offering and give you a short blessing. English-speaking monks will be on duty on most weekdays. A short ceremony for 5 precepts, meditation and a blessing are given on the weekends starting at 10:45 a.m. And for those unable to visit in person, all the other ways of accepting money transfers to DIMC are still available, whether it be mailing checks, bank transfer, Zelle, or Venmo. Needless to say, the whole temple would like to rejoice in the merits of all continuing to take the opportunity to support the temple in this way. Meditation continues to be valuable in tackling lockdown fatigue, and in this respect, despite the relegation to the yellow tier here at the temple, we are still in a position where we have no face-to-face teaching sessions for the interim. You can, however, continue to access Dhamma teachings in English through several convenient channels. For aficionados of Zoom meetings, you can access the Inner Peace channel content by joining the Zoom channel ID 970-1192-2337, meeting passcode 072, and as you will see from the updated program schedule on the slide, content is available for most of the day now, 7 days a week, and brings together all the usual programming from our temple with English and Spanish content from various branches across the US. The times shown on this particular slide are for the West Coast. For content local to Azusa, you can continue to follow teachings at the YouTube channel called Peace Point Meditation or the Facebook page of Peace Point Meditation. For those of you who are particularly interested in my talks, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, which I have set up in my own name. And according to the current Peace Point schedule, every Sunday morning you have got me with live material and archived material on alternating Sundays. Venerable Sopon appears every Thursday evening. The Monday and Friday Peace Silence sessions from Peace Point have been postponed for the interim owing to even more teacher monks being away in Thailand. Families listening in may be interested in the special show for children in English known as Shining Stars that goes out between 6 and 6:30 p.m. every Monday evening with bedtime stories and meditation short enough to keep the attention of younger listeners. Outside of the live streams and on-demand programming, you can also download the MindGem app for free, allowing you to listen to meditation and Dhamma talks in English on your cell phone, even when you are offline. It now has push notifications to keep you up to date with upcoming activities on the Inner Peace channel. So this session we have looked at the topic of 31 realms of existence. For my next live session with you, which will, fingers crossed, be a week on Sunday morning, we will be moving on to look at something along the lines of before birth. For good measure, I would like to remind viewers that you can email your questions about meditation or what you have heard in the lecture to the email address that you can see spelled out on the slide, and I will do my best to answer these on my next session. In the meantime, try to stay healthy, avoid recklessness or complacency in the face of the virus, maintain a positive mood, speak only positive words, forgive others, extend good wishes to others, and meditate daily. Hopefully, as a result of today's session, you will now have some familiarity with the dangers of lingering in the 31 realms and be able to choose wisely to arise only in the human realm and the fourth level of heaven as you continue to cultivate good deeds that will allow you one day to enter upon nirvana. So today, this is me, Phra Nicholas Thanissaro, signing off for this session. So long, folks, and stay safe.